William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Melancholy of Untold History, a novel by Minsoo Kang, performed by Keong Sim. To my mother, for her gifts of literature, munak, kindness, chae, and love, sarang. The realm of the grand circle. Early dragon child state, autumn bird state, summer and winter period, supreme dynasty, lofty dynasty immaculate state, ? Immaculate dynasty, 7 dynasties period, radiant dynasty, tranquil dynasty of the grand circle, 3 dynasties period, celestial dynasty of the grand circle, amity league of autonomous states. Prologue. The storyteller knew that he was doomed. His body shivered in the cold grip of terror as he sat hunched in a corner of a cramped cell with a tightly packed crowd of people who were as frightened, filthy, and starving as he was. The enclosure was one of countless rows of them in a massive underground complex with stiflingly poor air circulation and the precarious light of a few flickering oil lamps. 6 days ago, when the storyteller and many others had been taken down there, he had been horrified by the place and equally astounded to learn of its very existence. For the last 3 years, he had been walking over the site, completely ignorant of the dark immensity below his feet. It had dawned on him then that this hellish dungeon must have been built before the construction of the glorious new city on the land had begun. At the break of dawn, soldiers came and forced out the people from a cell, herding them away to some unknown place from which they never returned. The prisoners were given no food and just enough water not to expire, so it was obvious that none of them were meant to be kept there for long. He wondered if the multitudes who had labored to dig out these secret prisons had met the same fate, which made him shudder anew. The storyteller wondered at the dire situation he had fallen into, as his journey to the place had begun with what had seemed like an amazingly fortunate turn in his life. He was born into a humble family, the son of a blacksmith who was expected to follow his father in the trade. At a young age, however, he displayed a remarkable talent for telling stories. He began by amusing members of his family and their acquaintances at household gatherings. Then an uncle, a street merchant who was particularly taken by his nephew's natural skill, had an inspiration and asked the boy's father for permission to take him to the marketplace to perform. The boy delighted his audience with such animated storytelling of one tale after another that the appreciative coins they tossed before him fell like rain, enough money to feed his family for 10 days. After that, his father stopped teaching him the blacksmith's craft so that his uncle could continue taking him to the marketplace. As he grew up, his reputation as a storyteller spread throughout the province, and he became especially famous for his astounding talent in making up a new story on the spot after someone suggested a subject, a theme, or the first line. A fair maiden walking through a forest hears the roar of a tiger, someone would suggest. The storyteller would take only a moment to think before starting a tale of the maiden who helps a tiger caught in a trap, which would go on for hours. His listeners would be astounded by his creativity, as well as his ability to arouse their deepest emotions with a moving narrative of the beautiful friendship between the girl and the beast. He also became known for taking well-known tales from venerable sources to elaborate on them. Although he lacked formal education and could not read such works as Clouded Mirrors, Miscellany of Past Events, Empty Vessels, Ancient Whisperers, and Turbulent Rivers, 60 Luminous Dreams of 60 Dark Nights, he took stories from them.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?